How's it hanging, Nature School? This week we're talking all about warbler prep. So first, let's go over what a warbler is. So we are fortunate enough to live here in Erie County where there are two migration paths that collide right here. So to our east, we have the Atlantic Flyway, which covers all of the East Coast and the Atlantic Ocean, hence the Atlantic Flyway, and all of the Mississippi Flyway, which birds, when they migrate and travel, they fly up the Mississippi River and the Atlantic, and they break off and they split this way, kind of like this. So most of our birds are going west and then north towards Alaska and Canada, and the other ones are going east towards Canada and New York and Vermont and all those places up north to breed and migrate. So what happens is we get a funnel of birds throughout April, May, and the beginning of June. And birds that come with that are warblers. These are small, teeny tiny, what we call wood warblers. So they're songbirds, and they usually tend to have some type of yellow and beautiful brownish, some cases blue, all kinds of varying colors. And they're all related to one another. Now, when we're looking for these birds, they can be very difficult to ID. So we're going to go over some things that are going to help you guys to ID warblers if you're out and about this spring, because we're going to get a lot of them. So let's get moving. Now, this one's going to be a little bit different, and we're not going to spend as much time out in the field. That'll be for next round of videos with me when we're talking about spring migration, talking about all the birds, and we'll see tons of warblers then. We've seen a few warblers up till now, but not as many as we would like to see. But over the next few weeks, we'll definitely be seeing them. All right? So let's get moving, and we're going to talk about how to identify warblers and what cool things you guys should look for. All right?
All right, Nature School, before we really get started, I want you guys to take a look at this bird. This is a bay-breasted warbler, and most of the warblers that we're going to be looking at today, not most of, all of those warblers are going to be males. And the reason why is because they're the ones in the bird world with the prettiest, showiest colors. So it's also much easier to identify them than it is to identify the females or immatures, so that's what we're going to focus on today. Alright guys, so we're going to cover the warblers that we've seen already first. This here is a pine warbler. Now this is one of our early warblers that shows up. They have a bright yellow throat and chest, white belly, and there's a yellowish eye ring that covers their eye. And their head's a little bit dark, as you can see. Another important thing you want to look for are these two white wing bars that cover their wings. You can see they kind of travel all the way on the side of their wing, and it makes this bird a little bit easier to identify. Our next warbler is the palm warbler, and this one can be a little bit easier to identify. So they have a brown cap, and they also have this streaky chest with a bright yellow throat that makes them very easy to spot. And they usually tend to stay low in the trees and in low shrubs, so they're much easier to find than some of our other warblers that like to hang out up high. And our last warbler that we see regularly and can find throughout the parks is this, the yellow rumped warbler. Sometimes people will call this a myrtle warbler. It's basically one that just has a varying color scheme, so some of them can look a little drab and not as beautiful as this one does. Now, these little guys have a yellow rump or a yellow butt, and they also have a yellow underthroat, and they also have two yellow patches underneath their wings, and they're very, very easy to spot. And you will see a lot of these throughout migration. Alright guys, this is one of my favorite warblers, and you can definitely see these warblers here, and they also breed in Erie County. So the chances of seeing them throughout migration and throughout the summer are very high. Now these are the Prothonotary Warbler, and they're very, very easy to spot. So they're bright yellow, have bluish gray wings, and look like a tiny little highlighter flying through the sky. They love to hang out near water, sometimes even called the golden swamp warbler, so you can definitely see these guys up near the bay and pretty much close to any body of water. Alright guys, another fairly common warbler that we'll get and also breeds here is the yellow warbler. Now this warbler can be easy to identify, can sometimes be mixed up, but they have these bright brownish red streaks that go all the way down their chest, almost to the end of their belly, and they can be very easily spotted that way. And they also sing a nice loud song where it goes tea, 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 sweet tea. If you listen here, here is the sound of the yellow warbler. Here's another species of warbler that doesn't look like any of the other ones. This is the black and white warbler. I love to show people this picture because it shows these guys have a little white mustache that comes across the top, and the rest of their body is streaked with black and white. Now, this can be confused with the blackpoll warbler, who has a complete black cap instead of a white mohawk that cuts through the center. These guys usually hang out low towards the ground and can be seen in low shrubby areas and sometimes by the woods. The call of the black and white warbler is one of my favorites because it sounds kind of like a squeaky wheel on a cart or something. So listen to this. Alright guys, we've covered most of the warblers that usually hang out low to the ground. Now you're going to have to start looking up a little harder to make sure that there aren't warblers up in the trees. Now this can be tough because you can get two things. One, your neck's going to get really tired and you're going to get warbler neck. And number two, the birds are going to be a bit further away. Like this one will definitely be. This is the northern Parola, and they have a beautiful bluish gray back, and they have a red and black spot on their chest that help to identify them. They also, if I'm not sure that it's a northern Parola, because there is a cerulean warbler that might get confused, I always rely on their call, because they're always singing in the spring, and it sounds like a spaceship that's about to take off into hyperspace. Alright guys, so this is the American redstart. Looks a little bit different than the other warblers we've seen up to this point. He's got some reddish orange on his back, and then the rest of him is black with the exception of his belly, which can be a little bit white. They can be tough to see, and they come in a variety of different colors, and they're very quick and they don't really sit still for very long, so this one can be tough to see. It's very easy to find them in wooded areas and usually high up in trees. This warbler seen here is the common yellowthroat. This is another one that can be easy to identify. One, because they like open field areas that butt up against a tree line, and they also have this cool little black mask that makes them look like a robber with white on top. And they also have a really cool call. I always tell people that their call goes witchity, 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 witchity. Alright, Nature School, this doesn't cover all the warblers that we could see, but this is going to cover most of the common warblers that you can see. The one in this picture right here is a Blackburnian warbler. This is my favorite warbler. They have a beautiful reddish orange chest and neck and streaks on their back, and their head is also that cool bright orange color as well. Alright, so since we've covered these warblers and the ones you're most likely to see, we're going to share some more with you throughout the week and ones that could be coming. So make sure you guys keep a lookout for those. And if you guys have any questions, remember you can always ask questions, or if you manage to snap a picture or see some field marks of a bird, we can always help point you guys in the right direction. Alright, I'll see you guys next time, Nature School.